You know, deep below the streets of Lower Manhattan, way beneath the rumble of the subways and the endless noise of traffic, there's another world. It's a place holding a truly incredible amount of weight and value. A silent, secure space that's completely cut off from the chaos above. It's built, quite literally, on the bedrock of the island itself.
Right here is where the Federal Reserve Bank of New York runs the largest known gold depository in the entire world. And the numbers, well, they're just staggering. It holds something like 507,000 individual gold bars. All told, that's over 6,300 metric tons of gold. Let me be really clear about this. There is no other known place on the planet that holds more of this precious metal in one single guarded location. The vault itself is located about 24 meters, that's 80 feet below street level. And to give you some perspective, that's so far down, it's actually 15 meters below sea level. It was built back in the early 1920s, and putting it this deep was no accident. They had to excavate all the way down for one really critical reason, to sit the vault directly on the solid bedrock of Manhattan. That was the only thing strong enough to support the unbelievable, concentrated weight of all that gold without sinking.
Okay, so here's the most important thing you have to understand about all this gold. None of it, not a single bar, belongs to the United States Federal Reserve or the U.S. government. The Fed is just the guardian here, a custodian. The real owners are dozens of account holders. We're talking foreign governments, their central banks, and huge international organizations like the IMF. And that distinction, that's the whole point of this place.
So once you get that the Fed is just the guardian, you start to see this vault for what it really is. It isn't just a big warehouse full of a valuable metal. It's a symbol. For almost 100 years, this vault has been a quiet, physical cornerstone for global financial stability. And that stability, it isn't really built on the gold. It's built on something much less tangible, a foundation of trust between nations.
Think about it. Just a few feet above these silent, perfectly climate-controlled hallways, you've got one of the busiest financial districts in the world humming along. Markets are jumping up and down, fortunes being made and lost in a fraction of a second. But down here, everything is still. Time just feels different. The vault is this point of absolute security and permanence, a deliberate anchor in the middle of the wild, invisible flow of the global economy happening right over our heads.
And all of this brings us to the most fascinating question of all. I mean, when you look at these sealed, identical cages, each one holding a nation's sovereign wealth, you just have to ask yourself, why? Why did so many countries from every corner of the globe decide to store their most precious national asset right here, in this room, thousands of miles from their own borders?
Well, the answer, as it often is in the history. The story of how this vault became the world's treasury isn't really a story about finance. It's a story about fear. It's about a world that was desperately looking for a safe place to hide during one of its darkest and most destructive chapters.
You can see on this timeline, the vault was built in the 1920s, when things were relatively calm, but it actually stayed pretty empty for years. The huge influx of gold, the moment that really made the vault what it is today, happened during and right after World War II. As war spread across Europe, nations were terrified for the safety of their national wealth. They needed a secure location, somewhere safe from invasion. The United States, being stable and, more importantly, geographically far from the fighting, was the perfect choice. New York became the world's financial safe harbor.
The gold kept coming even after the war. It hit its absolute peak in 1973, holding over 12,000 tons. You can see the huge difference on this chart between that peak and what's there today. Now, that peak happened right after the U.S. officially stopped letting people trade dollars directly for gold. Since then, the financial world has changed a lot, and the amount of gold here has gone down as some countries have taken their reserves back home. But even with that, it's still, by a long shot, the biggest single pile of gold in the world.
Okay, so understanding the history and just the sheer size of this place, it naturally brings up some basic questions. It's one thing to know all that gold is there, but how does it all actually work, day to day? So just so I'm 100% clear on this, none of this gold belongs to the U.S. Federal Reserve?
That's exactly right. The Fed is only the custodian. A good way to think of it is like a giant global safe deposit box. The gold is meticulously separated. The vault is divided into 122 different cage compartments, and each compartment belongs to a single account holder. This makes sure one country's assets never, ever get mixed with another's. Every single bar is tracked. Ownership is absolute.
All right, so let's go deeper into this fortress. The trust that all these countries put in this place isn't just because of its location.
It's built on a set of procedures and security measures that are just legendary for how strict they are. The rules here are, quite literally, as solid as the rock the vault sits on.
There's only one way into this vault. That single entrance is guarded by a massive, round seal door that weighs 90 tons. And that door sits inside a frame made of concrete and steel that weighs another 140 tons. When that door is closed, it creates a perfect seal that's both airtight and watertight. For all practical purposes, it's completely impenetrable.
How do you even open a 90-ton door? Very, very carefully, and only at the exact right time. It's controlled by multiple locks, including a time lock that gets set at the end of every single business day. Once that's engaged, nobody can open it, not even the head of the bank, until the scheduled time on the next business day. There's no override, period.
Once you're past the door, every single thing that happens is governed by a strict three-person rule. This is basically a system of human checks and balances. Anytime gold is moved or a compartment is even unlocked, 3 people have to be there. 2 members of the vault staff and 1 independent person from the internal audit staff. All 3 have to be present for the entire process to watch and verify what the others are doing.
Does that rule apply to literally everything? Everything. Even for a job as simple as changing a light bulb inside the vault, you need the same 3-person protocol. It sounds a little extreme, I know, but it shows you the core principle here. There are absolutely no exceptions for anything.
And this incredible level of security is what makes the vault's most important function possible. See, when 2 countries agree on a gold transaction, maybe to pay off a debt, they don't have to ship tons of metal across the ocean. Instead, it all happens right here. Following that 3-person rule, staff will just move the agreed-upon number of bars from the seller's cage to the buyer's cage. The ownership changes on the books, but the gold itself never has to leave the building.
So are the gold bars pretty much interchangeable, kind of like dollar bills? No, actually, and that's a really important point. Unlike money, every single gold bar is treated as a unique object. When a country deposits its gold, every bar is weighed, its purity is tested, and all of its details, like the stamp from the refiner and its own serial number, are recorded. If that country decides to take its gold back later, they get the exact same bars they put in. No substitution.
So, when you put all these pieces together, the history that was born out of crisis, the unbelievable security, the meticulous, almost ceremonial procedures, the true purpose of the vault becomes crystal clear. It's so much more than a storage unit. It's a silent guardian of the whole international financial order.
What you're really looking at here is the physical form of these huge, abstract ideas that kind of hold our world together. The idea of trust is literally cast in concrete and steel. The idea of precision is in every single bar that's been weighed and logged. And the promise of permanence is made real by a tangible asset that just endures, unchanged, through economic crises, political turmoil, and even wars.
There's just this incredible contrast here, isn't there? This silent, unchanging world of physical gold, locked away deep underground, exists for one reason: to provide stability for the crazy, fast, digital, and often chaotic world of international finance that's playing out right above it. It's a physical anchor in a weightless world. And so, as that 90-ton door swings shut, it's sealing away more than just metal. It's sealing away a promise of stability. A silent, hidden fortress that, even in our modern age of cryptocurrency and complex derivatives, remains this quiet, powerful, and absolutely vital presence. A guardian for one of the very foundations of the world's economy.